And hello again, this is Uncle Troy, and we are still having technical difficulties in that this thing here is still not working. And I'm sure the broader ones of you are saying, well, Uncle Troy, if it wasn't broke before, you swinging it around by the wires for a few days is certainly going to break it. Uh, Trust me, this thing is bulletproof. I could drop it down a flight of stairs and could not damage it. It is that tough. And if I could bend my leg the right way to get it up here where we could see it, I would show you the gash I have in my leg from when I dropped this thing and it slid down my leg and I tried to catch it, and that's a bad idea. Anyway, if this problem continues to go on forever, I have the Speed Metal USB 2.0 HDD external enclosure 3.5 mobile storage solution, with which I think I can connect all the hard drives, well, one at a time anyway, from my computer. So I can at least get to some of the video files I've already rendered and maybe upload them. I'm also trying a little smaller resolution here. Hopefully won't have those frame rate issues we had before. So like I said, technical problems. I can't upload my Minecraft videos today. So I figure I need something to entertain you with. So I thought I would entertain you with the story of a man I knew back in college. And this is actually a composite of 3 or 4 people I knew in college. So we'll call him Adam. And we'll pretend he's one person. And that all these wacky adventures I talk about happened at roughly the same time. Adam had psychic powers. Magic psychic powers. Ooh. Without the widescreen, I got to bring my hands in closer here. Woo! Magic psychic powers. And if I had magic psychic powers, I would like defeat all evil in the world, or I would set myself up as a little rich guy off on a desert island, just me and my 14 brides. Mm-hmm. But anyway, Adam decided not to do that. Adam decided to use his psychic powers for parlor tricks mostly. Actually, party tricks, I want to say, because that's where we saw him perform. And he had several psychic powers. One of them was you give him any object, say this flashlight, and he would tell you the life story of everyone who had ever touched the flashlight, basically. And he had a real good way of doing it. First of all, he picked somebody who was slightly gullible and slightly drunk at the party. Flashlight, give him the flashlight, for example. He'd make a few general, but deep sounding comments like, oh, this surely lights up somebody's life, or that sort of thing. And then he'd say, I'm getting some stuff, but it's not very clear. Help me, give me some context. What can you tell me about this flashlight? And so he'd get the person that he supposedly was using his psychic powers to tell them all about everybody that owned this flashlight to start telling them about their experiences with the flashlight. And at the end, even though they were the ones that did all the talking, they would think, oh, Adam has psychic powers. He learned all this stuff just by touching the flashlight. No, he didn't. He tricked you into discussing it. But like I said, he would tend to focus on the gullible people, the ones that were slightly drunk, the ones that were cute. Another thing he could do is he can make himself a little house of cards, very precariously balanced, that would collapse. And he'd say, I was going to use my psychic powers to collapse, but that guy, I was going to use my psychic powers to collapse those cards, but that guy over there breathed on them. So I need everybody to strap out. Just I need one witness here. You, cute little short one there that's been drinking all night. You come over here, and you get between me and the table here. So I have to reach around you, and that way you'll be able to tell if I'm touching the table or anything. Another thing he could do was make a psychic band of heat between his hands. Ooh. And you couldn't measure it with a thermometer because it was psychic heat, not, physical heat. And, the skins of the hands is kind of sensitive, but not really. You need like the skin of your face or maybe another body part between my hands, and then you can really feel the heat generated. And once again, he would pick the younger, cuter, more drunk, college kids at the party to, show this trick to. And another thing he did was ghost services. I forget exactly what he called it. We'll call it ghost services because I don't think there's any current reality show called Ghost Services that think I'm ripping them off. This was back in the mid 80s, which predates pretty much all the ghost movies and ghost TV shows and reality shows that you're thinking of. and he would advertise his ghost services. And it was him and another guy. Um, he and the other guy was from my hometown. They were a couple of years ahead of me in college, and a couple of other things. And if I remember, Adam had his fabulous psychic powers. Ooh. And the other guy had supposedly had really sensitive smell and hearing. He could, sniff out stuff. And there was a guy who was some kind of electronic whiz, and he was observing the rest of them and how they operated. He was going to duplicate it all electronically. He was going to create a new generation of measuring devices for tracking down ghosts and whatnot. And like I said, this is back in the mid 80s, long before whatever show you're thinking about where they use devices like that. And then the fourth guy was this weird, quiet guy whose superpower was that he could creep around unnoticed, and he could walk through the room without making any noise, disturbing anything. And together, they would go out to gullible people's houses and find ghosts. And pretty much, I think their standard thing was to like spend a few hours in the house, go all through the house, and then spout off like some common name. Like, I'm getting the name Samuel. Do you know a Samuel? And of course, a common name. Anybody that's been alive for more than a few years knows somebody named Samuel. And said, well, that's what I'm getting, a Samuel. And said, well, and pretty much, I think he hit it just perfect one time. And I'm making up the name Samuel. He always used a different common name, but we're not going to get onto that. But well, I'm getting a strong sense of Samuel, an older male who's looking out for you. And these little things, the stuff that's falling around, falling over in the house, the little strange noises, the presence. That's Samuel, but he's not trying to hurt you. He's trying to protect you, and that's just his way of letting you know he's here. And so the lady he's doing this for, she just breaks down to tears. Says, "Oh, she had an Uncle Sam growing up. He lived down the street, and her mama and daddy always told her if anything happened to them, Uncle Sam would take care of her. So he passed away, a long time ago, but I guess he's still taking care of me. So, well, since it wasn't an evil spirit that we vanquished for you, it wasn't a haunting, really, we can't accept your money." And she says, "Oh, no, here, take my money, take my money." So other times, supposedly the guy with the old sensitive hearing or the nose would, find a cold spot in the room, and they'd say, "Well, this must be where the ghost is active." And he'd say, "No, no, no, it's an actual real cold spot." And so then they'd give some cock and bull about the ghost the guy had seen was probably just his own breath in the cold spot in the room, and maybe headlights from a passing car. All you need to do is fix his weather stripping. And since we didn't find any ghosts, we can't accept your money, sir. So, "Oh, well, no, here, take some money. Here, take some money." The guy with the nose supposedly tracked down a gas leak in a kitchen one time, and so the lady called her gas man, who came and checked it out and didn't find any leak, but replaced a few valves anyway. And she says after that, she didn't, feel strange in the kitchen anymore. So, here, take some money. But and I was never invited on any of these things because I didn't believe in any of this. I've had some ghostly experiences. I'll tell those stories sometime. But he told me one story that really stuck with me that I really think needs retold. He got called out to a house. A little old lady lived out in a house out in the woods by herself. We lived in a fairly rural area when we were attending college up there. Lots of mountains and old folks and whatnots. And at night, she'd sit in the front room, the living room we call it, and watch her television about 9, 10 o'clock at night to, calm down and, relax at the end of the day. And sometimes she would hear noises at the back door. And from where she was sitting in the living room watching the television, she could look out the back through the kitchen to see the back door. And the back door was an old screen door. I don't know where it was, how it was where you grew up, but we didn't have a lot of storm doors, big glass plate doors outside of our wood doors. We had screen doors, just some simple 2x4s or 1x3s or whatever they were, and a screen mesh. And to make it close, you had a spring of some kind stretched across the maybe from the door facing over to halfway up the door or something. So when you open it up, that spring would stretch, and sometimes it would twist around where it would twist around the screws where it screwed into the door, or it would catch on a piece of wood or something and it'd go across. And it would go tick, 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 tick as it stretched. Tick, 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 tick. And if you open it real close, real slowly, it would go tick, 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 tick. Fast, it would go tick, 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 tick. And that's in addition to whatever rusty, creaky hinge noises you would get from the actual door itself. You know, I'm going to get made fun of for making that noise, aren't I? Anyway, so what she would say is what she said was she'd be watching her TV. There'd be a quiet spot in the show, or maybe she'd turn off the TV, getting ready to go to bed, and she would hear the back door opening very, very slowly. Tick, 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 and then crash, like the door was slammed shut. And at first, maybe she thought it was the wind or something, or maybe, well, maybe somebody sneaking in on her. So she oiled the hinges, she fixed the spring where it was different, she got her little latch so she could latch the door shut so it wouldn't open. And still she'd hear, at night, she'd hear tick, 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 crash. So she got to where she would sit in the living room watching TV with the back door, the wooden door, standing open, and the screen door there latched closed. So when she started hearing the tick, 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 she could look at the back door, see that the screen door was closed, even while she heard it go tick, 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 tick like it was opening, and then crash. Scared her to death. So she got Adam and her bunch in. So Adam, of course, went all over the house doing his psychic thing, and the really sensitive guy, he went through listening and sniffing and touching everything. And the electronics guy, he did fiddle with electronic stuff. And the quiet guy, he went around and stepped very carefully on every floorboard in the living room to where he found where all the creaks and all the cracks were to make sure that nobody stepped on those during the night. So then they set up and they waited, and they all watched TV together. And they waited and they waited, and a few hours went by, and about the time everybody thinks when it's going to happen, they hear it. Tick, 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 tick. So Adam starts his psychic thing, and the sensitive guy, he's got his little mirror where he can look toward the back window or toward the back door without actually having to turn around. And the quiet guy, who'd been prowling the room, he's close to the front door. So he starts easing out the front door to get around back. And before anybody can really move, you hear the crash of the door closing, and then it's quiet again. So the quiet guy, he goes outside. He's gone for a while, comes back, says there's nobody out there, nobody back there. The door hasn't been disturbed. So the little lady says, well, now that it's happened, it's not going to happen again tonight. I'm going on to bed, So he says, okay, we'll try back the next night. And actually, the next night he didn't, because she was so scared about this that she contacted her son, who come in with her daughter-in-law, his wife, and they had spent the night for a few days, maybe a week. And naturally, it didn't happen when they were in the house. And she was starting to get scared because the son was talking about putting her in a home or something if she was hearing noises in the house. So she calls Adam up again, and says, can you all come, back again? So they come back again, and this time they go full hog. The electronics guy, he's got some stuff set up, some cameras and whatnot, which back then were these big bulky things with VHS tapes, if you can remember what those are like. The sensitive guy, he was all around the house. Adam was doing the psychic thing. The quiet guy was actually staked out in the backyard. They put up tripwires with tin cans, because that's the thing we used to do back then to catch ghosts. You put up tripwires with tin cans, so when the ghost walked through and tripped the wires, the cans go off, and then you can catch the ghost. And like the little lady been doing, they left the back wooden door open, so the screen door thing, so everybody could see the screen door, and they sat there for 2 hours and waited. And about the time they're going to give up, about the time the TV show ends, you hear tick, 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 crash. They all converge on the back door. Absolutely nobody there. The spring is still hanging loose where they'd hung it, so it couldn't possibly have been going tick, tick, tick. The door was still locked. None of the tripwires were tripped. The quiet guy in the back didn't see anything. The sensitive guy didn't see anything. The cameras didn't see anything. Absolutely nothing. And then Adam, super psychic, sensitive Adam, leans against the refrigerator and notices that it's humming. And he opens up the freezer and notices that the ice tray is automatic ice maker is refilling. And he shuts the door and he thinks for a minute and he turns to little old lady and says, "Ma'am, about how long ago have you been hearing these noises? You know, about how long ago did this start?" And she says, "Oh, about 2 months ago." And he says, "This looks like a brand new refrigerator. When did you get this?" And it was about 2 months ago. So he says, So, well, you got the owner's manual for this thing? He says, "Yeah, here." So he looks through and said, "Okay, tell you what, let's all take a break and meet back here in about 45 minutes. So they all went off, took a break, watched a little TV thing, met back in the kitchen, and it's been about 45 minutes. And Adam says, "Okay, it's right now been about 45 minutes. Everybody listen." So everybody got real quiet, and they heard it again. Tick, 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 tick. So he walks over, opens up the freezer compartment of the refrigerator just in time for the ice in the automatic ice machine to finish tick, tick, tick out, and then crashing into the ice trays, or the big ice bin for the automatic ice maker in the door. Tick, 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 crash. And what she'd been hearing, of course, was the ice slipping out of the molds and crashing into the bin, which she'd never heard before, and which the younger generation, had heard stuff like that before, but they had it in their minds. It's the door frame, because that's how she described it, the door spring. So that was Adam and his most interesting ghost story, which turned out not to be a ghost story. But of course, he immediately did his little act. "Well, ma'am, I can't possibly charge you any money for this because it turned out not to be a real ghost." She said, "Oh, no, no, you saved me from having to go, to the assisted living home. Here, take my money, take my money. All four of you take my money." So that was his biggest success as a ghost hunter, ghost catcher, ghost chaser, ghost whatever. And he told that story a lot, which is why I know it so well. And he always tried to convince me to go on one of his little ghost expeditions, and I never did. And I suppose if I had, then I might be on one of these reality shows now on the Sci-Fi Channel or whatever, and making a lot of money. Instead, I'm entertaining y'all for free. So I hope y'all are entertained. Anyway, hopefully we will get back to some real videos here in a day or two. In the meantime, it's Uncle Troy signing off. Please have a good night. And clear.